What's up everybody, Danny's here and we are back at it again with another video. But before we get into it, make sure to check out all the links in the description below. So today, my topic, let's talk about what games do we want to see on the Switch 2. Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about, am I excited to re-experience Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on the Nintendo Switch 2. So, here's the thing though. Zelda Breath of the Wild was released on the Nintendo Switch like 8 years ago, probably. It was released 8 years ago on the Nintendo Switch 2, but also Nintendo did a sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and it was also known as Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So, I think these games will be re-released on the Nintendo Switch 2 next week though, and I am excited to re-experience them on the Switch 2 because definitely though, normally, I think it's going to run at like 120 frames per second, and it's going to run like a better graphic and a better gameplay in the Switch 2. But Nintendo made a deal with these two Zelda games on the Switch 2 that, did you know you can get these two games for free if you have the expansion pack? You can get it free with the expansion pack and these two Zelda games on the Switch 1. So I think I'm all set for now because right now I do have the expansion pack and I have these two Zelda games on the Nintendo Switch 1, so I'm all set to get Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 2 for free though. And honestly though, I'm very excited to get Mario Kart World on the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, Mario Kart World is going to be a very exciting game for the Nintendo Switch 2, but did you know that there are some apps that will not support with the Nintendo Switch 2? Whoops, nope. Not all software. Let's go into virtual game cards, see what do we have digital. So, did you know Nintendo has some apps that will not work on the Switch 2? So we have Hulu and YouTube, and we have Crunchyroll that won't work on the Switch 2. So it only works on the Nintendo Switch 1, but it doesn't work on the Nintendo Switch 2. So here's the thing. Nintendo also noticed that you cannot play Nintendo Switch 2 games on the Switch 1. Because Switch 2 games only supports with the Nintendo Switch 2. It only supports with the Switch 2 though, but definitely though, the GameCube Switch Online won't work on the Switch 1. It only works on the Switch 2. So when it comes to either playing the Switch 1 or the Switch 2, you may have to choose which console to play though. But for me, though, I would say I would play Switch 1 games on the Switch 1 and play Switch 2 games on the Switch 2. Which kind of makes a lot of sense, though, because apparently the Switch 2 is one of the best consoles announced. And definitely, though, it's going to be releasing in one more week. And pretty soon I'll still play the Switch 1. I'll not worry about it, but I'll just worry about myself still. I'll still play the Switch 1 when the Switch 2 comes out, and I'll still be able to play the Switch 2 when it comes out. Because, why not? I love the Switch 1, honestly. And I think the Switch 2 is going to be a really cool experience to have my hands with. So definitely, though, the Switch 2 will have backwards compatibility, but also, here's the thing. The micro SD card is actually right here on the Switch 1, but there's also a micro SD card on the Switch 2, like right here, as you can see. So there's a lot of features you really didn't know about the Nintendo Switch 2, but this is kind of cool though. I like how Nintendo adds new features for the Switch 2. I mean, the Switch 2 is going to have a lot of gigabytes, so I would recommend buying a micro SD card. But I believe you can get them at like either GameStop, Target, Walmart, or CVS. But they're probably like $50 though to get a micro SD card for the Switch 2. But it could be either for the Nintendo Switch or for the Nintendo Switch 2. I would highly recommend getting a micro SD card at CVS. They're probably like $50 or $40. But I would recommend the 256 gigabytes of micro SD card. You could get these at like CVS. They're probably like $50 though. And it does work on the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, the micro SD card, it holds up a lot of storage, but it could be like you can use it as a flash card or a flash drive. That's how you can use your Switch 2. The Switch 2 camera also uses a picture, so you can use your album to do a picture of yourself, which is kind of cool to do though. So I think that is going to wrap it up here for today's video. I really hope you guys do enjoy the video. If you do, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment and share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you are new to this channel. Make sure to hit that bell notification every time you get notified when I post a video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!